What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. Friday night, the eve of the Reds' trip to Brentford to take on Thomas Frank's side. A game that kicks off tomorrow at 12:30. Nice to have you all in early doors. I know a lot of people are concerned about the stream title and stuff tonight, but as always, we will give you a full explanation of where this information comes from. We'll talk, of course, about the bad news today that Alisson Becker, only hours after Klopp confirmed he was back, is already ruled out with a hamstring injury. We'll try and figure out how long that's going to be for. But as always, it's your show, so you let us know the subjects that you want to talk about and we will get stuck into them. Carl Beasley said, talking rubbish. Again, dude, it isn't me. I know people love to just have shots and have a pop at me, but like I always say, everything that we talk about is backed up with a story, a source of where it comes from, and I amn't for 1 second trying to tell you that Mohamed Salah has decided he's 100% leaving Liverpool Football Club. It was a former player that said it, and of course we'll go into that in more detail, but I would ask Carl to just be a little bit more respectful. I think I've earned it at this point, mate. And if you don't agree with what I have to say, I get that. But, you know, we do back it up. We don't just pull these things out of the air and say things for sound bites. You know, it is all backed up with stories and sources, as I've said. So, look, bear with me and I'll get through to it. JC Galvanil, thank you, my friend, for gifting 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. And thank you, Brian, as well, for coming straight in and gifting 20 absolute legends, the pair of you. And I know that those will be greatly appreciated. So, look, there's a load for me to go through tonight. I'm going to go through some numbers around Liverpool's season. We're going to go through the situation with Alisson Becker. But I'm sure you probably want to start by speaking about the situation with Mohamed Salah. And I'm going to do that momentarily. But just before I do, just a little reminder. Today's video is being proudly brought to you with thanks to our friends at Fantasy 5. Fantasy 5 is a fantasy league game where you can win up to £5,000 every week. And what's more, it's completely free to play. It couldn't be any more straightforward. Pick 5 players from the 5 games. Each player has an expected points total. For example, this weekend, Haaland has a points total of 9.5. That's his target. Moise Caicedo is just 4.5. Players score points based on systems the same as FPL, other than the bonus points. If they score more than their fantasy points target, you win the jackpot. It's been won 4 times already this season and you could be next. There are also prizes every single week and month, such as Premier League football shirts, Apple Watches, and those who top the leaderboard can pick up other little prizes as well. So even if you don't get all 5 correct choices, you still have a chance to win some really cool prizes. Just for those of you who want to play along with us this week, here are my 5 choices. I've gone, as you can see on the screen, for Bruno Guimaraes, who has a points total of 5.5. Ollie Watkins, 6.5. Son Heung-min, 8.5. Phil Foden, 8.5. And Ross Barkley. So if you want to support the channel, if you want to help us out, if you want to have a chance to win either 5 grand or some of these cool prizes, all you need to do is scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description, which will take you to Fantasy 5 and you can play for yourself. It is open to 18 plus only. It is a gambling product, so we urge you to always gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org is there for all of your responsible gambling tools. So thank you to our friends at Fantasy 5. Right, my friends, I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to get straight into it because I know a lot of you are concerned about the Salah situation, and I'm going to give you exactly where it's from. The headline from the article I read in the Echo said as follows: Salah will 100% leave after deal struck in the summer. Now, like yourself, that shocked me when I seen it, so I read into the article a little bit further. Former Liverpool defender Mark Lawrenson believes Mohamed Salah will 100% leave Anfield this summer as he continued to be targeted by teams in the Saudi Pro League and other leagues. He goes on to say that basically he believes that a deal was pretty much agreed last summer, and that no matter what happens this summer with Liverpool's end to the season or Jurgen Klopp's news, that Mohamed Salah will be departing for somewhere around £150 million in the summer. Now, that's his opinion. It isn't a fact. So let's start off from that. It isn't a fact. Do I think he's probably right? Yes, I do. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it's 100% like he said. Now, I think the fact that Kylian Mbappe may be leaving PSG, in fact is leaving PSG, I think this will play into PSG's hands. And I think if they don't go after their number one target, which seems to be a striker, the gentleman from Napoli, no other than him. But I think Liverpool's name, if it isn't Victor Osimhen, Mohamed Salah's name is one that's been coming up as well. Now, I don't think Mohamed Salah should leave Liverpool for PSG, but it depends what the motivation is for him. But I disagree with Mark Lawrenson from the perspective of, I don't think it's nailed on that Salah leaves this summer. I don't. I think it's still up in the air. But I think, if I'm honest, and I try to be honest with you guys all the time, I think he goes. I've said that for ages, but we've not got any concrete news on that either way. This is just one man's opinion in Mark Lawrenson. And look, backing it up with what we've said with you guys and the polls we've had in the chat, 78% of you guys said that if an offer of 120 million upwards came in for Mohamed Salah this summer, you would sell. So I don't know if you guys still feel the same way, if your opinions have changed, but it's certainly not a headline that I was expecting to hear from a former Liverpool player in Mark Lawrenson, especially with he will 100% leave. Like, not even a doubt in his mind. He thinks it's a done deal, and whatever happens this summer, he's gone. I don't feel exactly the same way with regards to the probability of it, but I certainly think, if you're asking for my opinion, and it is just an opinion, we're more likely to see Salah leave this summer than stay. That's my opinion, but I'm not going as hard as Mr. Mark Lawrenson. I would sell for 150 million. We'd never get that again, said Connor Mullen. More money for new players, said Mark Hazard. If Salah wants to leave, let him get the highest offer only if he wants to leave, said Bonkers LFC. More likely he leaves if Alonso comes in. He doesn't fit the system, said Philip McWilliam. So, do you know what I'm genuinely surprised at? I don't know if we're protecting ourselves emotionally, but I do feel like a lot of you guys are on a similar mindset to me, in that if he leaves this summer, he leaves. I'm not saying that's what you want. I'm not saying it's certainly not what I want, but looking at the probability of the situation, I said to you guys as soon as I heard Jurgen Klopp was leaving, that my initial thought was it's probably going to be the catalyst to allow Mohamed Salah to draw a line under his time at Liverpool as well, because like many of you have said in the chat, Jurgen Klopp's been a big part of Mohamed Salah's success at Liverpool, finding a system that works best with Mo in it, building around him, and of course Mohamed Salah's own great talent and professionalism has helped. But as soon as I heard Klopp was leaving, the first thing I thought of outside of, oh God, Klopp's leaving, is this is going to be the catalyst for Salah to go, because it certainly makes it an easier pathway to say, well, it's a fresh start for everybody. And like you guys have said, and I don't know this is going to be the case, but if Alonso comes in playing in the same system he plays at Leverkusen, you do have to say, where does the likes of Salah and Diaz play into that? Now, you'd also make an argument that Mohamed Salah is such a great player that you'll find a place for him in the team. But honestly, it comes down to John W. Henry for me, and I don't see John W. Henry, without Jurgen urging him on, paying the money to keep Mohamed Salah. That's what I think will happen. I think John will cheap out. I think if Jurgen stayed, I feel like maybe there'd be a bigger push to try and give Mohamed Salah a new deal. Maybe I'm misreading the situation, but that's what I think will happen. I think the numbers will get to a point where he just doesn't deem there's value in it. And look, I've said this as well. I wouldn't be giving Mohamed Salah a pay increase. I would absolutely give him a new deal. Put another 2 years on the end of the deal he has now till he's 35 without blinking. I think Mohamed Salah will be able to play at the top level for the next 2 or 3 years. But I just don't see him not wanting a pay rise. And now with the news that Mbappe is leaving PSG, we don't just have to worry about the Saudi Pro League. We also now have to concern ourselves that maybe PSG will want to bring a superstar in. And if they can't get Victor Osimhen, I don't know. It's always been a worry for me with Mohamed Salah. I go back to that photo of him and the PSG president after, I think, the Bournemouth game, having lunch together. It never sat well with me. And one of the things I've always said to you guys, and I've been honest and taken a lot of flack for this, but I'm standing over every word of it. One of the things I've said about Mohamed Salah is there's always a distraction. whether intentionally or not. I guess you could say the same about most of the top players, right? Because PSG fans will certainly tell you the whole circus around Mbappe was a distraction at PSG. For me, it feels like we're always a few months away from another potential crisis or a potential headache or a distraction with Mohamed Salah, whether it's the situation with the AFCON and the World Cup when Mane was here, whether it's his agent putting out some snidey tweets. It always feels like to me there's a potential headache coming down the line, and we never seem to have that consistent period over the last 2 or 3 years where we didn't have to concern ourselves with the idea that maybe Salah would depart. And that has worn on me a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. And maybe it's something new that I haven't experienced before because, you know, Mohamed Salah is probably the biggest star in world football that we've brought in, developed, and brought to his potential. I think it's probably fair to say him, ALISSON, Verge, probably right at the top of that list in the modern era. And I've not experienced this before as a Liverpool fan. You know, maybe brand Salah is too big. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it always feels like it's a ball ache waiting to happen for me and a distraction, and it never goes away. That's my honest opinion about it. It's never gone away. That'll be the dumbest move PSG have ever made. He'll play for 1 or 2 seasons at best. Look, I'm not telling you he's going to PSG. I'm just saying that he's been mentioned today in an article. I'll read the piece out for you now just so you've got a bit more context. It said, breaking, Victor Osimhen is PSG's priority to replace Kylian Mbappe, but the name of Mohamed Salah is also starting to circulate. Now, even if this is horseshit, even if there's no interest from PSG in Mohamed Salah, what it is doing is reminding Liverpool that there are options out there for him and that there are clubs who will perhaps pay more than Liverpool are willing to pay. And that's where I see the problem. Because whatever we think, himself, Verge and Trent have to sit down and talk with the club about contract renewals. And I've warned this for a long time. Every week that goes by where we don't get these deals sorted, particularly Mohamed Salah's hand strengthens and Liverpool are losing ground in this negotiation. If they want to negotiate. And that's what I can't answer. I know, in theory, everybody believes that we should want to keep Mohamed Salah, that the owners will want to keep Mohamed Salah. But I don't give the owners that much credit. I think that they certainly look to the bottom line. And right now, let's be honest about this. You've got a 32-year-old player at the end of the season with 1 year to go on his contract. And you have a potential to get over £100 million for a player that's given great service to the football club and been a standard bearer and a record breaker. But we've also lost Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino for the grand total of 30 million. And I've said this many times. I think it's better to sell a player 1 year too soon than a year too late. So I think Salah leaves. That's my God's honest, hand on heart opinion of what I think will happen. Now, I'm not as invested as Mr. Mark Lawrence, who thinks it's 100% certainty. I'd probably put it up at about 70%, but that's my take. I'd love to know how you feel about it, though. Do you think I'm deluded? Do you think I'm seeing something that isn't there? I've always tried to be honest with you guys. Sometimes I get flack for it, but my opinion on Salah is I don't know how much longer the distraction and the headaches are worth the outcome. That's the best I can describe it. Can you talk about Ali? I will move on to talk about Alisson Becker really soon, my friend. Don't worry. We've got to go through that in as much detail as we can. I'm very shocked at how quickly this all changed, by the way, because you've seen the press conference earlier on where Klopp said, Ali's back. Said it out loud. It's quoted. And then we started to hear a few leaks. I think Anything Liverpool, I think Carl was the first one to put it out there about Alisson Becker, and we were all kind of holding our breath. And having known Carl like I do over the years, he's not a bullshitter. And I knew he's not one of those accounts that would look to stir trouble. So when he said it, I kind of paid attention to it because I know he's quite well up on these things and he's not a shit stirrer. So I was waiting for confirmation on it, and unfortunately I think Ian Doyle came out with a confirmation from the Echo that yes, Alisson Becker is indeed out for I don't know how long with a hamstring injury, but certainly isn't available tomorrow. New manager, new start, said John West. I think Salah's personal preference, he'd rather stay, but it's the wages that could be an issue, said Stephen Rosca. Yeah, look, if you said to me, do I think Mohamed Salah would prefer to stay at Liverpool if the money was the same or go to PSG or the Saudi Pro League? I agree with you, Stephen. I think his preference would be to stay at Liverpool Football Club. But I don't think he's going to get the offer that he will probably feel is reflective of his status in world football. I think he probably is going to want another pay rise, and I don't think he's worth another pay rise. That's my honest view. If Salah goes, the pressure is on for other forwards, not just to score but to stay fit, said Mohamed Haman. Just sell Salah, said Enoch Mushengo. I think, what else we got? If Mo goes and doesn't fit the new system, then we thank him and move on. Look, I'm glad that so many of you are having such a grown-up view of this. I think whatever we think about this situation, it is concerning to me that FSG allowed this situation to develop. Because we've often spoke about them as being very clever, very astute in how they renew contracts and whatnot. But this is not the first time we've seen Salah's contract start to run down a little bit. And I can't imagine that it's by accident. I'm looking at the owners here and not Mo. You know, players will always look out for themselves. That's, of course, their careers. Why wouldn't they? But I find it very odd that for people who are as astute in business as FSG, that they've allowed Salah to get to this position. Now, people can push back and say, Craig, they've also allowed Trent and Verge to get to this position, and I fully understand that. But I think the likelihood of us renewing those two is easier, because they're probably going to want less money than certainly Mohamed Salah is. And if you look at recent history, Jurgen went to bat for Jordan Henderson with the owners, got him a longer deal. Didn't really work out too well, did it? Jordan Henderson, at the first sign of a challenge to his position, ran off the Saudi and is now playing in Ajax. So I don't know if there's anybody to go to bat for Mo to try and justify another pay increase. I just don't think he deserves. I don't think Verge should get one either, by the way. I'm going to be honest about that. The only one of the new contract renewals that should get a pay increase for me is Trent, because of his age. Trent is just coming into his peak. 25, 26 years of age. That's when you'd expect him to be at the best. So I would expect him to be paid accordingly. Salah, if he was up to extending on his current deal for 2 more years, I mean, if I was FSG, I'd put the contract in front of him immediately. But I don't get that impression. Unfortunately, we'd be 20 plus goals a season worse off. I don't think we would though, Jack. See, that's the look. We would be worse off. I'm not going to push back on that, bro. But it doesn't necessarily mean that every goal that Mo has scored or every assist that Mo has been a part of wouldn't have been taken up by somebody else. You know, penalties as an example. Somebody else could have scored those penalties. But I get where you're coming from. We will be worse off. And on that, actually, I've looked into Liverpool's goal involvements this season, and the numbers, you know, are fairly stark. Mohamed Salah has had 8 assists and 14 goals, 22 goal involvements this season. Next on the list, Darwin Núñez, 7 assists and 8 goals with 15 goal involvements in total. Diogo Jota is the only other one in double figures for goal involvements. Diogo Jota has 2 assists and 9 goals, giving him 11. And then after that, you start to get down to Luis Diaz with 2 assists and 5 goals. Trent with 4 assists and 2 goals. So yes, there is certainly a drop off there. But you would imagine somebody else will take up some of that slack. Also looked into how we're doing with regards to how many goals we're conceding versus how many goals we should have conceded. And weirdly, we're actually better off than what we should have conceded. So Liverpool this season have an expected goals per game of 0.96. We're conceding 0.96 goals per game, but our expected goals per game is 1.23. So, you know, we're outperforming the XG. And I personally would put that down to Alisson Becker a long way, because I think he makes some saves that other goalkeepers simply wouldn't make. Weirdly though, Manchester United, top of the pile, they have an expected goals conceded per game of 1.38, but they're actually conceding 1.68. I'm saying this backwards again. They have a goals conceded of 1.38, but their expected goals conceded is 1.68. So weirdly, they're actually outperforming XG with regards to what they're conceding. I don't know how, but there you go. That's That's the fact of it. Now, interestingly, Manchester City, they're actually underperforming. So they're conceding slightly more than they should be doing with their XG. Now, I don't know if that worries you in a title race or in a run-in, but it certainly worries me when I break the news or say the news that Alisson Becker is injured. That concerns me. Look, Kelleher will do fine. And as many of you have pointed out, giving Kelleher some games ahead of the cup final probably isn't a bad thing. But it's concerning that the news from Alisson Becker went very quickly. I don't know how we went from the point of Jurgen saying, and I've circled this just so I have the exact quote. Where has she gone? Jurgen said, Mo's back in full training. That brings him automatically into contention. Ibu's not suspended anymore. Joey's fit again. Connor is back. Ali is back. So that's all positive. And that was like at today's press conference. And then all of a sudden, we hear the news that Alisson Becker suffers major injury setback as hamstring woe continues. That happened really quickly, right? You know, now look, I'm aware he could have pulled up in training 20 minutes later, but it feels like we're getting a little bit cursed at the minute with injuries starting to pop back up. We've Trent out now, Alisson out, Szoboszlai out, all doubts for the League Cup final. Epic Gamer Man said Mbappe in. Well, Mbappe in to Real Madrid, most likely. Because Maguire is decent this season, says Mahmood. Well, look, let me ask you guys, why do you think Liverpool are outperforming their XG for conceded goals? So, as I said, we're actually conceding 0.98 goals per game, but our XG shows that we should be conceding 1.23. So, why do you guys think that is? Because I struggle to feel it's the defence, if I'm being honest with you. I think it has to come down to Alisson Becker and saves he's making that maybe he shouldn't be making. Craig, is there a problem with the physiology? I think you mean the medical team. We seem to get players back, but they don't come back in good enough condition to play out games. Well, it kind of ties into a little bit about what Fabrizio Romano said the other day. Remember when I pointed out the difference in how Trent's situation was being reported? So you had Paul Joyce saying Trent is ruled out at the moment, blah, blah, blah. And then you had Fabrizio Romano come out with a bit of a different angle on it. And he said Liverpool rushed him back and that's why he's out. So truth is, I don't know the answer, but it is a concern. As you've said, we aren't getting players back for very long and some of them are straight back out again. I feel like this isn't the first time we've heard about Szoboszlai's hamstring this season. Now we've got Trent's knee, and this certainly isn't the first time we've had a hamstring issue with Alisson Becker. So I think it's a fair question to ask, what's going on? Is there anything we could be doing better? Are we rushing these guys back a little bit too much? Truth of the matter is, I guess the only people that know that are Jurgen Klopp, the players, the medical staff. But from the outside, it's not looking great. You know, this is a pretty shitty week of news where we've lost 3 big players seemingly out of nowhere. You know, because we were told Trent felt something, but it wasn't bad. So they took him off as a precaution. That's not what happened a day or two later. Same with Szoboszlai. That was supposed to be something relatively short term. Then he goes to Hungary. Then all of a sudden it could be a month. Now he's out. And then Alisson. Just like that. It's concerning. Especially at this point of the season. Whereas Connor Bradley? He's available. Don't you worry about that. Connor Bradley will be available for the game. I think we probably see Joe Gomez start, would be my own guess. But yeah, Bradley's available. It's based on last season. We're playing a lot better then. No, it's based off what they believe we should have conceded versus what we are conceding this season. That's how XG works. You know, they have a method or an algorithm that, you know, calculates how many goals should have been scored from this position versus how many we have actually conceded. So it's based off this season. At least that's my understanding of it. Jack, how are you, mate? Thank you for your super chat. Said, I'd be more concerned if Klopp was staying and we sold Mo. We've no certainty we'd have the same forward output next manager. It's nervy. The whole thing doesn't feel great to me, Jack. You know, I talked about the announcement and why Klopp made the announcement when he did, and what we were told was that it was because Liverpool, 1, feared a leak, 2, Liverpool wanted to go about their managerial search more publicly. Well, I don't feel like that's benefited us, because now it feels like there's a race to get to Alonso, and almost like clubs are looking to get rid of managers quickly on the off chance that some of these guys are available. You've seen many articles today talk about Bayern Munich already looking to get rid of Tuchel and trying to get Alonso in. So us going public with what's going on with Jurgen, unless there's an agreement we don't know about, I don't see the benefit of it at this point. That's just my take. Do you still think we can beat Brentford? I'm a bit less confident. Look, I think somebody in the chat made a great point earlier on. If we really want to be title contenders, these are the type of games we shouldn't have to feel nervous about. We should feel comfortable that we can go to Brentford and win. But I do understand where you're coming from. I'm feeling nervy about it. If you look at the guy from Sky who does all the predictions, the Jones Knows guy, he's going for a 2-2 draw for us tomorrow against Brentford. So, yeah, look, it's a potential banana skin, definitely. And am I nervous about it? Yes, I am. Thanks for answering my question. Love the channel. Keep smashing. Oh, look, Christopher, mate, it is my pleasure. I tried to get through as many of your wonderful comments as I can, because, without you guys, the channel doesn't have a future. So no need to ever thank me, my man. I appreciate you guys being here with us and giving your input. Right, some more of your comments. Craig, gotta applaud City. They don't have a starting lineup, which means at the end of the season they barely have any injuries and majorly step up. Weirdly, if my memory's right, Ali, and I'm could be wrong on this, but I think they have one of the smaller squads in the Premier League. At least that's my memory of what I seen a while ago. Then look, they've had injuries this season, but they're probably more of a system team than us, if that makes sense. Like, it's a machine Guardiola's built with. Jurgen, yes, it's a similar thing, but it relies more on certain players covering ground and having some individual moments, and certainly counter-pressing. So I think, off the top of my head, that's one reason I can think of. But certainly, it feels like City are better able to manage some of these situations where their star players aren't out. I mean, they have the luxury of having £100 million winger sitting on the bench a lot of the time, which, I can't say we've had. But to go back again, Ali, there's been times this season where I think I can look at Liverpool's bench and felt that there was squad depth there. Certainly, if I'm being really honest, I think this is probably one of the deepest squads Liverpool have had in my lifetime. But we never seem to get this injury-free run. There's always one or two on the periphery, or never really having the ability to put out the same 11 week in and week out. At least that's how my memory thinks of it. Craig, let's be honest, we're losing tomorrow. I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility, but I'm certainly not going into the game with the attitude that we're losing. But I am nervous about it. Is it confirmed that Salah is leaving? No. The confirmation thing, like I said, comes from an article in the Echo where, I'm just going to read it out to you exactly as it is, so as I don't misspeak. The article says, speaking of Paddy Power, Mark Lawrenson said, 100% Mo Salah will definitely leave this summer, no matter what happens this season. I think there was a deal last summer. He'll go and play somewhere like Saudi Arabia, and hopefully Liverpool get a massive fee and get a couple of players off the back of it. Salah will be the king in Saudi. He could have gone there last summer and stormed into Jurgen Klopp's office and said, I want to go, but he's not done. I could have gone into Jurgen Klopp's office and said, I want to go, but he's not done that. So Lawrenson believes it's a done deal and it's 100% happening. I don't have information to that, but I also don't think he's probably wrong. I think he's guessing. I think he's said he's guessing, but I don't think he's going to be wrong ultimately. Hope all is well, Craig. Just joined the stream. Do they know how long ALISSON is out for? There was no information of how long. I mean, if you're looking at hamstring injuries, 3-4 weeks seems to be not uncommon, but I honestly don't know, mate, how long ALISSON's out for. It's a real kick in the nuts, this one, though. Like, as much as I have some faith in Kelleher, he is not Alisson Becker. And tomorrow's game in particular feels like a big loss. I mean, we should be able to handle the Luton game at home. And the League Cup final, look, Kelleher would have played in anyway. So tomorrow's the one that really worries me. Because We've no Trent, we've no Szoboszlai, we've no ALISSON. We have Mohamed Salah coming back. It'll be his first game since his hamstring injury, so we don't know what to expect there. Conor Bradley's coming back from obviously having time away after the passing of his father, so probably going to be Gomez, you would imagine. And this is the business end of the season where we need the availability of as many players as possible. So yeah, it's feeling like there are certainly obstacles coming in our way. I'm trying to be positive, but I also do understand why people are nervous. I mean, I'm not going to mock anybody for thinking tomorrow could be a banana skin, because quite frankly it could be. Do you think Núñez is improving? For me, 100% he is. Oh yes. Look, the best compliment I can give Darwin is we're better when he's in the team, and results show that. Now, can he be better in his finishing? Of course. But I'd still rather have him than not have him. Love Darwin. Lee Green, how are you, Lee? Said, Craig, what's your opinion of our backroom medical team? Are these regular muscle injuries a result of Klopp's training regime? I'm not qualified to give you an answer, but of course I'll give you an opinion. Yes, I think it's no accident the amount of muscle injuries and stuff we've had and how hard Klopp works the lads in pre-season. Now, it'll be interesting to see when a new manager comes in if we get a fall off in the amount of injuries we've had, because of course we don't know what a pre-season would look like under a Xabi Alonso or another manager. But I have to say, yeah, it does feel like Klopp pushes them very, very hard, and it feels like we get quite a big amount of muscle injuries. But you know, I might be just imagining that. Again, just really quickly, I'm not going to fly into it too long, but just a reminder, do check out Fantasy 5, where you can win up to £5,000 and it's completely free to play. All you have to do is scan the QR code on screen or go to the link in the description. It'll help support the channel. It'll help give you an opportunity to perhaps win either £5,000 or some of those prizes, weekly, monthly prizes. And we are very, very grateful to our friends at Fantasy 5. As you can see, my team this week is a pretty straightforward one. I've gone for 5 picks that I think will outperform their expected points. Bruno Guimaraes, Ollie Watkins, Son Heung-min, Phil Foden and Ross Barkley are my 5 this week. Let me know your selections if indeed you do go to play along. Right. Medical team must be given Klopp false information. Players being 100% fit. I wouldn't say they're giving Klopp false information, no, but I wonder who's making the decisions. Like Trent, as an example. We know that Trent felt something and then got taken off. Jurgen said Trent said he could have continued to play. So in that situation, at least from the outside, it looks like Klopp and the medical team have made the decision to be cautious. But then, how is he playing with that niggle anyway? You know, why isn't it shown up beforehand? I don't know. I'm not qualified to give these answers, but it certainly doesn't feel like we're in great shape for what is a really pivotal part of the season. I think Mo will leave too. Hopefully we get Kylian. Have you seen Arsenal fans and Lego Head Arteta talking about him? Genuinely, Liverpool and Arsenal have inquired after Kylian Mbappe. Now, according to reports from many fine journalists like David Ornstein, Liverpool and Arsenal were put off by the package that was requested or that Kylian Mbappe's team were looking for. That's what's being reported. Can I see that as being real? Yeah. I can see a world where they inquire but get hit with, you know, well, look, let's be honest. What he earns at PSG in a season is 160 million all in. That's not my numbers. Their numbers supplied by Sky. And I wouldn't imagine they're too far wrong in all of his bonuses and all that other stuff. So that's a long way from Mohamed Salah's £350,000 a week, or even allowing for £1 million a week that Rami Abbas said Mohamed Salah roughly makes all in. You're trebling that. That's a lot of money. So, but I'm also confused as to why. You know, why would you even inquire? Sure, you know what the numbers are roughly going to be. Yeah, did Liverpool or Arsenal expect to contact Mbappe's representatives and hear, oh no, yeah, no, he knows Mo's on 350 grand a week and Saka's on 350 grand a week, so we sound about 350 grand a week. I think they should have known the numbers involved in any potential deal there were going to be stratospheric. Is it just me, or are players due for contract extensions all suddenly getting injured? I know nobody would want to be intentionally get injured, but it's very worrying. I think it's a coincidence, but do you know, I've got to ask you a question, because I'm going to be honest about how I feel. I'm starting to get a bit nervous about Trent. Not about his ability, about him leaving. You know, I don't know if I've talked myself into being concerned by the Bellingham friendship and the fact that Madrid will need some attacking fullbacks, and Trent's in a position where maybe they feel like it's the right time to try and approach him. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself into this, but I'm starting to get concerned about it. Especially as well as when you see that Madrid, apparently even after Mbappe, still have designs about going after Haaland. You know, and they have the money to do it because they have not really spent a lot in recent history. They've brought in quite a bit, and they've just been very, very good at the rebuild. Let's be honest. Look at what they've done. Look at how they've refreshed their squad. They haven't had many misses there. Bellingham, new contract for Rodrigo, Endrick coming in. They beat us to Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Vinicius Jr. They're refreshing that team very, very strategically, brilliantly, in all honesty, and it's quite imposing, and I'm starting to get a little bit nervous that maybe Trent is going to have his head turned. But it is just something I've invented in my own fucking head, but yeah, it is concerning to me anyway. Trent is loyal. I get that. And there's a lot of reasons to believe Trent will potentially be a one-club man at Liverpool. But, you know, we are in this situation where, again, strategically, the club have allowed contracts to get to a point where these players hold the advantage in the negotiations. Trent, Virg and Mo are all in positions where I think they have the better hand in these negotiations. Maybe the club feel like they've gotten vibes from Trent or Virg or Mo that it'll be straightforward, because a lot of what I've read seems to think that it won't be a problem negotiating with Trent. But I don't know. We've seen this situation escalate very quickly. You know, you probably remember the Steven Gerrard situation where he just said he wasn't feeling the love, and you know, Chelsea came in from Mourinho and Abramovich money, and it nearly happened. But thankfully, the club were able to convince Steven Gerrard to stay. I don't want the same things happening with Trent. I don't want him to think that he's not a priority, or that the club aren't looking to tie him down. I hope they fucking are, and I hope they're working hard behind the scenes to tell him and show him that he's a big part of the club's future. Do you think Jones will be a one-club man? I think the only way Jones doesn't become a one-club man is if Liverpool don't think he's playing at the level required. I think if he continues to develop in the way he is, right now, he's one of the guaranteed names on a team sheet for me, if I'm being honest with you, Curtis Jones. I think I see him as having the first right to have that left-sided midfield position at the minute. So if he continues the way he is, he could absolutely be a one-club man. But there's been lots of talk in the last month or two about London clubs looking at him. Arsenal have been mentioned with him as well as somebody who they'd like to bring in. So, yeah, I don't know. But it all feels a little bit scary at the minute. Lots of uncertainty at the club. And no matter how much Jurgen and everybody else tries to tell us all to calm down, I feel a lot calmer when I know who the sporting director and the next manager are going to be. Right, lots more stuff to get through, by the way. So this piece here from Fabrizio said, Alisson suffered a hamstring injury, one more issue for Liverpool. Alisson will undergo tests on Saturday to clarify how serious the injury is and how long he'll be out for. He's expected to miss the Brentford game. That other story was initially broke by the Echo, by Anything Liverpool, and then backed up by the Echo's Ian Doyle. Jurgen Klopp has been speaking ahead of the game against Brentford and speaking about the fact they play with two strikers, and this is what he's had to say about Brentford's strike force. It's not that rare. That's not the problem. The problem is the balls played to Tony and how he can bring it into the next player. Their second ball game is second to none. Tony is really difficult using his body. If you get on the ball and Tony goes down, they'll get a free kick. That's the situation. It's very smart what they do, and it's exactly what I would do if I was them. It keeps them for years and years next in the Premier League. He also went on to speak about our players being back. He said Mo is back full training. That brings him automatically into contention. Ibu is suspended. Joey is fit. Connor is back. He said Ali is back, but we know that that's since changed. Thiago, no. Trent, no. That's true. Wasn't really aware of it, but I caught some news that there was a discussion we might have forced Trent back. He has had setbacks and nobody wants that. So feels like Klopp's getting a bit defensive there towards what I'm going to say Fabrizio Romano, because he's the only one that I've seen that suggested Liverpool rushed Trent back. At least he's the only one I've seen post that. He goes on to say different cases, different scenarios. Szoboszlai and Thiago as well. As long as I've been here, we've never forced anyone back. We work in a high performance area. We always try to catch them at the earliest moment. Unfortunately, when we catch that early, nobody speaks about it. The last decision is always by the player. When the boys played, they were fit, but the situation told us differently, as it's happened again. Very, very unlucky and unfortunate. Don't buy that, if I'm being honest with you. It's not always unlucky and unfortunate. I don't buy that. I do push back a little bit against that, because I think history has shown us that we seem to be a little bit more unlucky and unfortunate with these type of injuries. The only way Trent leaves is if FSG want to sell him, and I hope that doesn't happen. I certainly hope it doesn't happen as well. Again, I'm going to be honest. A year ago, I wouldn't have felt as strongly. A year ago, I would have been personally a little bit more open to the idea of Trent leaving. I'm going to be honest. Like I've had moments where I felt Trent has looked a little bit too casual, but I said it in the summer, and I'm going to back it up again. I've seen a different Trent this season. I've seen a mature leader emerge, and whatever he did over the summer and the work he did with, I think it was Under Armour at their performance academy or whatever he's done, he seems to have come back and almost developed into a man and a leader over the summer, and is a very important part of the squad, and I think deserving of his vice captaincy. Blessings, Craig. Is it only me that thinks Klopp either gets the starting team wrong, or he picks the right team but plays them in a weaker position? So let's go back to last week as an example, mate. When I seen the starting lineup for the Burnley game, I thought it was wrong. I didn't like the idea of Ryan Gravenberch being in there. I felt like we made mistakes in that team that was only sorted out when Elliott came on. I'm trying to think back to the last week's starting 11, because sometimes I get confused, but I certainly feel Elliott deserved to start the game, and Elliott and Jones would have been my two midfield pairings ahead of either McAllister or Endo. Some people have gotten actually angry at me in the preview for putting Endo in the team ahead of McAllister, but I feel like the balance was shown to be better when Endo was there with Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, and that's what I'd go with for my midfield trio tomorrow. What is a sporting director? Okay, so think of it this way, Jacob. In modern football clubs, most managers, as we call them, would be coaches, and a sporting director would be somebody who provides the ownership group with consistency over a longer period of time, regardless of what the situation is with a manager. A sporting director would usually set out the footballing philosophy of the football club and try to bring in players right the way through from the youth team all the way to the first team, playing a particular brand and style of football. Klopp had a little bit more scope and power than some other managers, particularly in Europe, where a sporting director role is more common. In English football, we tended to think of the Arsene Wenger's, Alex Ferguson's, Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola's, who have so much standing at their clubs that they had a lot of responsibility and a lot of influence. But I would imagine that once Jurgen leaves and a new manager comes in, even if that's Alonso, they have to earn the trust to have those bigger influence and bigger saying of what happens. So sporting director is the stability for the club, and a coach, as we think of a coach, is somebody who's just supposed to look after the footballing side and coach the players and not really have that much of an input. That's the best way I can try to explain it anyway. But it's a hugely important role in a modern football club, and it's one of the reasons for me United have floundered around so much over the last few years, is I feel like they've not got that balance right. Whereas with Michael Edwards, Julian Ward, we've had a much better run of things. Will this mean Szoboszlai, Trent and Salah are all out? Well, Salah's not out. Salah's absolutely available. For tomorrow, Szoboszlai's out, Trent's out, Alisson's out, Thiago's out, Matip's out, Bajcetic is out. I think there's no new injuries outside of Alisson. Hey Craig, hope you're well. Do you think all this news will affect the title race? Tomorrow's huge. I can't underestimate the impact that a win tomorrow will have, or drop points tomorrow. What you want to do when you play the early kick-off is you want to lay down a marker early doors in the weekend. And on paper, it looks like City could have a difficult game against Chelsea, but I think they're going to roll over Chelsea in all honesty. So if we drop points tomorrow, I think it's going to be pounced upon by the media, by opposition fans, and certainly if I was Pep Guardiola or Mikel Arteta, I'd be all over it. You know, for us, we've got to keep winning until we play Manchester City, and hope Arsenal can do something as well at the Etihad when they take on Manchester City. If we can get to the game against City in good shape and picking up maximum points, because remember, we've got a League Cup final next weekend and an FA Cup game the following weekend, so there isn't that many league games between now and when we play City. I think we need to be on maximum points between now and then to stay in the race. Remember, under Pep Guardiola, I think they've only won at Anfield once in the league, and that was during the COVID time. So, you know, we're usually pretty good for at least a draw against Manchester City. Do you know how long Alisson is out for? I don't, unfortunately, own. Nobody knows the extent yet. There's going to be some scans done tomorrow where we should get a better understanding of how long or what grade injury Alisson has with his hamstring. So again, a report coming out from Spain says, in addition to Kylian Mbappe, Real Madrid plan to sign Erling Haaland, which is fucking worrying if you ask me. Jurgen Klopp has been named the Premier League January Manager of the Month. We covered this earlier on as well, so congratulations to Jurgen on that one. I'm just trying to go through all the information that I had earlier on. Another report coming out from Transfer Sector said Xabi Alonso prefers the idea of Liverpool over Bayern Munich as things stand. Question for the chat. Do you think that Liverpool and Xabi Alonso have had more communication than we believe as fans? Because for me, I'd like to think that we're further along in this conversation than perhaps the Joe public knows. Because if not, I feel like we're being a bit lackadaisical. And as I said, almost allowing others to try and come in and steal a march. Once Klopp made his decision and informed FSG in November, I would hope to God that already at this point there's been some serious conversations, even if it hasn't been made public with Alonso. And I think we'll get an indication from the sporting director appointment if we're going in an Alonso direction. For instance, if Tim Steidten, the West Ham sporting director, ends up being the one that gets the nod, I feel like that's a good indication that we're laying the groundwork for Alonso. Can see Haaland getting a hat-trick against Chelsea, said Randy. So he's definitely out because I'm sure Klopp says he was fine. Who? Alisson? 100% out, unfortunately. And you're right, Klopp did say he was fine. But it was after that, seemingly, that the hamstring flared up. Because I even read out the quote from the press conference. He did speak about Mo being back, Conor Bradley being back, Kanade being back, and he mentioned Alisson as well. But unfortunately, mate, since then, we have had the confirmation from the Echo, from lots of other journalists as well, to say that unfortunately, Alisson Becker has sustained a hamstring injury and will be unavailable for an as yet undesignated period of time. It's shit, I know. And I thought, and we all thought at first, that it was waffle. But as is always the way, bad news tends to travel quickly. And yeah, it sucks. Right, so I asked you guys, do you think we're a little bit further along? And Colin said yes. Matthew's Goal said yes. John Power said yes. Daniel said yes. JD said yes. Good to be back, Craig. Working 7 days straight. Missed you all. Great to have you in, Duncan. And 7 days in a row, bro. That's tough. You must be knackered, but a pleasure to have you in with us there, as always, and appreciate your input. The only time I will be back in Chelsea is in the game against City tomorrow. Do you hold out much hope? Because I think they're going to get swatted by Manchester City, to be honest with you. Because it seems to be the Chelsea way this season. They go through, have some decent results. Like they've built a little bit since we beat them and Wolves beat them, and now I feel like they're ready for that usual little wobble again. And I can see Manchester City beat them 3-4-1, in all honesty. Billy Hogan said that he'd not approached anyone. Yeah. But, I don't believe that. In all honesty, I don't believe it, because I think it would be foolish not to have sounded out some people at this point. What was the news about Salah? I missed the start of the stream. No problem, Sandu. Let me just grab that back for you. So there's two things that I want to draw your attention to about Mohamed Salah. The first one is an article that came out today that said Victor Osimhen is PSG's priority to replace Kylian Mbappe, but the name of Mohamed Salah is also starting to circulate in the halls of the Parc des Princes. But the big news, the one that we've used for tonight's stream title, comes from former Liverpool player Mark Lawrenson, who said Mohamed Salah will 100% leave Anfield this summer as he continues to be targeted by teams in the Saudi Pro League. He goes on to say that he believes there was an agreement last year that this year he will leave, and this is his exact words: 100% Salah will definitely leave this summer, no matter what happens this season. I think there was a deal last summer. He'll go and play somewhere like Saudi Arabia, and hopefully Liverpool get a massive fee and get a couple of players off the back of it. Salah will be a king in Saudi. He could have gone last summer and stormed into Jurgen Klopp's office and said, I want to go, but he's not done that. So he believes the groundwork's already laid for a departure this year. And I've got to say, having not heard of any public negotiations, I find it hard to think that Mark Lawrenson's wrong in his assessment. Maybe not so much so as 100%, but to me it's certainly concerning that we're not hearing any talk of that contract renewal taking place. Then again, we haven't really heard too much for Trent and Verge, other than people saying that it's planned. But it was supposed to be planned before Christmas. We were told it was planned for the new year. Now we're midway through February, and I've still not heard of any concrete offers gone into any of them. But sure, why would I have heard? But the media haven't really been talking about it. Craig, would you take Mourinho? Absolutely not, mate. No, I wouldn't. I just not because I'm petty enough to go, nah, he managed United and Chelsea. I just feel, honestly, I think football at club level and the way it's gone is almost passed by Jose Mourinho at this point. And I think if I'm Mourinho, I'd be looking to the international managerial situation at the minute. So yeah, no, I don't think we'd get as much out of the players that we have at the club if Mourinho came in. Would you be able to give me a mention, Craig? I always watch your chats and always trust the news. Absolutely, Daniel Bell. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I don't think De Zerbi is good enough. Thoughts from Rian? I'd be concerned, Rian, if we went with De Zerbi, which some people might feel is silly, considering I'm championing the idea of Xabi Alonso. But I've always said the same thing. To manage a club like Liverpool or Manchester United, I think it's not just coaching ability that you need. You need gravitas. You need standing in world football. You need appeal. And I don't think De Zerbi, as of yet, really has that same name recognition as Xabi Alonso, who, you know, has won everything there is to win. Like, between me and Alonso, we've won everything in world football. Now, I'm not going to hold the fact that he doesn't have any Youth Ireland caps against him. You know, I'll take the burden on that one. But look, between me and him, World Cup, European Championship, Champions League, La Liga titles, Bundesliga titles. I mean, we've won it all. But look, my point is, his stature and standing in world football, I think, even from his playing days, gives him the gravitas. And of course, he has the personal connection with Liverpool. Even, you know, some people think that he doesn't hold Liverpool in as high esteem as we tend to believe, but just look at the man's interviews and you'll see how highly he thinks of his time at Liverpool. And he talks about Liverpool as us still, which I don't really see him doing with other teams. So for me, De Zerbi wouldn't be the most ridiculous choice in the world, but I wouldn't feel as reassured as I would with an Alonso. If you can feel reassured losing Jurgen Klopp. Jack Nickel, how are you, sir? Thank you for your super chat. You're very kind. Have you heard the rumours that Liverpool-Everton game could get moved and changed for a last game of the season? Well, yes, there is the very strong possibility of it being moved, but that's only because of our potential participation in the next rounds of the league, or excuse me, of the FA Cup. If we beat Southampton, the game gets moved because that'll be an FA Cup weekend. So there's no big mad conspiracy to it all. It's just one of them things. Also, the day it's scheduled, if I'm not mistaken, is a very busy day in the city of Liverpool. I think is the half marathon on that day and a few other things. So the idea of a Merseyside derby that day always felt a bit strange to me. Particularly the way, you know, the police like to go on about not having multiple things on at once. You know, so yeah, I think it will be moved because I fancy us to beat Southampton. Benjamin Alfred, how are you, sir? Said, morning, Craig. I'm all caught up. May I ask, with the modern footballer being so fit, why do we focus on money with Salah? I'm a critic of Mo, but the money's there. Why not re-sign? So I think it's twofold, Benjamin. It's, yes, you're spot on. And if any player outside of James Milner can continue to play for another 4 or 5 years, I think Mo is that guy. But money being brought in is also an important aspect. And if you look at it purely from a balance sheet thing, if you're FSG and you've had 6-7 years great service from Mohamed Salah, and you've let go Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane for a combined €30 million, and the possibility to get 100 million plus for a 32-year-old player comes to the table, it's a difficult business decision. You know, as fans, we have emotional involvement in these things, but I've got to be honest and say, I think the correct business move is to sell him. I do. I really, really do. And it's only been strengthened by the knowledge of Klopp leaving and the new manager coming in, because I want a new manager to have every financial tool at their disposal. And I think if you turn down 100 million quid for a player who, look, will be really, really, really shitty and difficult to replace because of what he's brought, this old adage of selling a player a year too early is better than selling them a year too late, I think is true. So I'm angry that they've allowed it to get to this position, that it's almost, in my opinion, designed for this to be the outcome. And I don't know if others feel the same, but I think this is not an accidental strategy by FSG. Not by Mo, by FSG. I think they've had their eye on this for a while. That's my belief. I think if Jurgen was still at the helm, he'd be pushing for an extension. But I think John W. Henry sees dollar signs. I'm going to be honest. Because look, no doubt in my mind, Salah can play for another 3 or 4 years at the very top level in Europe. None. Not a single bit of doubt. But I don't have that same belief in our owner. I think he is a bottom line person financially, and that's just where I'm at, honestly. I know it sounds sometimes like I'm almost wishing Mo away, but it couldn't be further from the truth. I just don't get I don't have the belief that FSG have the balls to give him a new deal and add to the squad as well. I don't. Sandu said, Salah seems a very competitive player. Why would he go to Saudi? Not saying he won't leave, but can't imagine he would give up everything for Saudi. So, this is a tough one, mate, because I've tried to explain this as best as I can. I don't understand the potential allure of religion or a style of life because I'm not a religious man. So, for instance, if I was a devout Catholic, could there be an argument to say that would I be more attracted to go and play in Rome? I don't know because I'm not a devout Catholic. So I don't understand, outside of the footballing appeal, how much the money or the draw of being a huge Islamic superstar in an Islamic country. I don't know. I'm not qualified to give you that answer. So on the face of it, from a purely footballing perspective, of course, he's levels above the Saudi Pro League. But I think sometimes there's greater factors at play than just the footballing ability. It's a statement for the league. It's certainly more eyes of the world on that particular league. But I agree with you. I think he's too good for it. And I think, he could play at any club in Europe still for 3 years at a high level. That's my honest assessment of it. I don't know what the pulling power or the allure of, a religion or a way of life is on an athlete like Mo, because I'm not a religious person. Thanks for the response. Could we have a poll where we think he could go or should stay? Absolutely. You tell me what way you'd like the poll, Benjamin, and we'll get that up in the chat. 100%. I would rather play some random keeper. Huh? I don't know what that means, mate. If FSG cheap out after Klopp is gone, they're in for a huge, massive awakening beyond measure. Klopp has performed miracles. Sure you agree, mate. 100%, Jack. Klopp has definitely, in my eyes, 100% covered for some of the deficiencies of our owners. No pushback for me on that, mate. Like yourself, I feel like if they don't get this next decision very fucking right and back Alonso, they're in for a rude awakening. I think that's a very fair view. I think a lot of people I've always questioned how some people are so supportive of FSG. I'm somebody that's in the middle. I'll acknowledge the good stuff, and there's been lots of it, but you're not getting away from that Super League fiasco with me. That was selling our history, our tradition, the way we consume football down the river for their own selfish gains. And I didn't buy the apology, and I still don't buy the apology to this day. But they haven't been the worst owners. So I don't want to be that guy who's vocally saying FSG out, FSG out. I have my own concerns about them, but you're right. I think Klopp has gotten them away with a lot. But then again, somebody else would argue they deserve the credit for going and getting Klopp, which probably has some truth to it as well. Craig, were you raised in a religious household? No, I wasn't, mate. No, I was raised and made my confirmation, made my communion. But when I came to a choice in life for myself, for instance, when I got married in a registry office because I don't believe in organised religion. So when I was old enough to make my own decision, I walked away from religion. My daughter has a spiritual side. She certainly practices religion, and I respect that. But no, myself and my wife wouldn't be from very religious families. Although my wife's grandmother would have been quite religious. But I respect anybody else's right to... Not even right, it's not that. The way I look at it is, if you have a faith and a belief system that brings you comfort, solace, and gets you through hard times, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Whatever works for you, whatever gives you the strength and belief and faith to get through the day, to be a good human being. If religion is that influence on your life, I wish you nothing but the best. Just for me, I'm not a spiritual person. Right, what was the poll I was going to do? So word this poll for me, will you? Because I want to put it up and give everyone a chance to have their say in the Salah situation, but I need to know exactly how you want the question phrased. Momoyama, what a cool name, by the way, said, from a business perspective, we should sell Salah. Also, Craig, FSG only care about dollar signs. They don't have the balls not to sell Mo. Hypocrite. I'm sorry. FSG only care about dollar signs. They don't have the balls to not sell Mo. I don't know if you're calling me a hypocrite, John W. Henry a hypocrite, but I'm confused by the post, mate. Yeah, sorry, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not picking up on the post right, but I don't know. Sorry, mate. I don't know. I don't want to go in on you for having a pop at me if you're not having a pop at me, but I don't really get who's the hypocrite in your scenario. Is it time for Liverpool and Salah to part ways at the end of the season? Okay, Mark, let's go with that. Is it time for Liverpool and Salah to part ways? Cool. Let's go with that. So, right, we'll put that poll up, and you guys can have your say. If I was getting married, it'd be in Vegas. It was my wife's decision, mate. I wanted to do, like you've said, I wanted to go to Vegas and get married by Elvis, but my wife wanted the family wedding and the guests and that stuff, and it was her day, so that's what we did. You should invite FSG when you're in Boston. We've asked FSG. We've emailed to request an interview with somebody from FSG. No, I don't expect we'll get one, but just being honest and saying we have asked. Do you think that Wenger worked better than Klopp under a tight budget? So with Arsene Wenger, it was always, there is money and he chose not to spend it. That was the line that Wenger came out with all the time, that there was money available to him and he just didn't want to spend it. So with Klopp, I feel like, well, quite frankly, I don't believe that he's happy that he's been supported enough. He talks about understanding the parameters of the job and believing that the owners give him everything that they can and whatnot, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I do feel like sometimes he maybe feels undermined by the owners. Because I know I would in that position, so I'm only kind of basing it off of what I would think. Do you think the Glazers are worse than FSG? Oh, yes, infinitely worse. Hundreds and hundreds of times worse. Whatever we say about FSG, they don't take money out of the club. They didn't put debt on the club to buy it. They don't take out dividends every year. They will see their profits when they sell the club in the longer term, and they have done things to increase the value of the club and strategically been far better than the Glazers. No doubt about that. But there's still things I think they can do better. So I'm still trying to find a response from our friend with from a business perspective, we should sell Salah. Also, Craig, FSG only care about... Oh, you're calling me a hypocrite. Okay, now I get it. Sorry. So, when I say they only care about money, well, show me a business person that doesn't only care about money. So, I don't think that's necessarily just to dig at FSG. But I do think it's the right business decision to sell Salah. But that's my opinion. I'm not saying that FSG are forcing Salah out. I think the right business decision, I happen to agree that the right business decision, in my opinion, would be to sell Salah now. But I don't understand how that alienates anything I've said about FSG only being about the money. Don't even have to listen to me, dude. Go watch or talk to any Red Sox fan and ask them their thoughts on John W. Henry and how he runs a business. Or, you know, ultimately they are an investment fund. Their whole existence is to make money. It's not to enrich our lives with great football. It's to make themselves wealthier. So I don't see how I'm a hypocrite personally, but each to their own. If you read David Dean's book, not that you would, he made it clear money was taken away from transfers to pay for the new stadium. Oh, I understand that as well, Ian. And yes, at the time the Emirates was certainly a big weight around Arsenal's neck financially, but the way Wenger spoke, he always seemed to speak about the fact that there was an ability to spend money, and he chose not to. And also, to our friend, again, back there a minute ago, called me a hypocrite. You do understand that not everything has to be boxed off, right? Like, what I mean by that is, I can have an opinion on one thing that slightly varies in another thing, but still holds the initial opinion. I don't understand how I'm a hypocrite, because I agree with the idea of selling Mo as good business. That doesn't... When I talk about the FSG being all about money, I'm talking about the way that they run the football club. Not on this one single thing. You're allowed to have contrasting views and still hold a point. I don't know. People always want everyone boxed off into, like, you have one opinion once and that's your opinion forever. I find that weird. Aren't loans used for FSG to increase the stadium and training ground for Liverpool to repay? FSG loaned the money to the club, and to the best of my understanding, those loans are... They're not interest free, but the interest that's on them is there to cover the cost of inflation over the loan period. That's my understanding of these loans. I think usually, and it may have changed because inflation has changed, but I think there's usually about 3.5-4% put on to any of those loans just to cover the inflationary cost of the loans. But ultimately, yes, they loan the money and the club pays it back, which makes the club self-sufficient. And I guess in the long run, FSG aren't using their own money. Although I think selling Salah is sad for all, I do think if we get Xabi Alonso, the Wirtz will be a good replacement for Salah under Alonso's style. I don't know. It's hard to come to the conclusion that selling Salah is the right thing and not second guess yourself on it. And I have gone back and forth on it loads of times, but I don't know what to expect from Alonso and the possibility of him bringing any players with him from Leverkusen. I don't know. I think if I put money on where Wirtz ends up, weirdly, I said this before, I think he ends up at Bayern Munich. What do you think about Mourinho saying he'd love to manage Liverpool? No surprises, Katie. I remember when Rafael Benitez got given the job, it was between Jose Mourinho and Rafael Benitez for the Liverpool job, and Rick Parry at the time, they felt that Rafael Benitez was the better fit for Liverpool. And I could be wrong on this, and I'm open to being corrected on it, but I swear I have a memory of Jamie Carragher once saying he's seen Jose Mourinho with a Liverpool crest on his phone around that time period. Could be wrong on that, but I have a recollection of it. So, yeah, not surprised, Katie, that Jose Mourinho would be interested in managing Liverpool, but I just don't think he's a good cultural fit for us. We're not going to pay stupid money for Wirtz if FSG style would be buying a Bakayoko for 30-40 million. So, the only thing I think I can push back on that was they were seemingly willing to spend 111, 112 million on Caicedo. Now, they didn't have to pay it in the end, but they did put the bid in. So, I often do wonder what would have happened. Would they have followed through? Would we have paid that money? You'd have to say, on the face of it, we probably would have. Which is very fucking odd, considering there's been a lot of other players that we've run away from, like Bellingham, as an example. Like, whatever we think, they put that bid in for Caicedo in the summer. Craig, do you think FSG are to blame for Klopp leaving? So, I wouldn't use the word blame. I think there's certainly a lot of truth to what Jurgen has said about energy levels, his health, and just, not having endless amounts of energy. I believe there's something to that. I believe he's sincere when he says that. But do I believe that he's as okay with FSG as he always professes to be? No, I don't. I don't think they're the sole reason, but I would be a liar if I said I don't think they form part of the reason why maybe he gets frustrated at times. I also think, if I'm being really blunt about it, the way the Premier League have handled the whole Manchester City debacle probably annoys Klopp, because I know it annoys me and I know it annoys a lot of other football fans how this has dragged out for so long, and at a time where, in any other period of Premier League history, we probably would have had 2-3 times more trophies than we have collected under that time because of Guardiola and Manchester City's existence, whether you believe that's a fair existence or not. I don't. So I think that probably plays into a little bit as well. Lehrer said, Craig, I'll be honest, I think there was more behind Bellingham not coming to us than simply the fee. I feel the club eventually saw how his ego would hamper us. So I don't know if Bellingham has an ego or not. But what I can say without any hesitation is, look what he's done since he's arrived at Madrid. Like, it hasn't phased them. It hasn't made him become a shrinking violet. He has taken, as a 19, 20-year-old man, to being under that spotlight and the intense scrutiny of the media, and immediately being the best player there and probably the best player in the world at the moment. So, you got to give that man his credit as well. To be 20 years of age and to be doing what he is doing at a club that big in such an assured way, you've got to have, I guess, some level of arrogance or belief in your ability to be able to do that. So, I can't tell you if there's any other reasons why Liverpool walked away, because it'll forever annoy me that we did. Selling Salah would clear the wage books and bring in profit for FSG. Could invest that money in being a top player, similar to what Madrid did with CR7. Well, look, yeah, definitely any high earner going off the book. So even if we push Mohamed Salah's situation aside, Thiago Alcantara being out of contract in the summer will free up about 10 million quid in wages a year for Liverpool off the books. Joel Matip, I would imagine, probably a pretty decent earner, maybe about 100, 120 grand a week, something like that, because of his longevity at Liverpool. So that's a lot of money going off the wage books. And before that, we of course had Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane, another two high earners going off the books. But we'll probably have an increase in wages for Trent Alexander-Arnold and his new deal, and for Verd. So some of that wiggle room may be used for things like that, but it certainly shouldn't do us any harm in the transfer market. We should have the ability to go out and be pretty active. BS, Alisson can't be injured. Well, BS all you fucking want, Troy. He's injured, and it's been reported by every major outlet that covers Liverpool, so you can BS all you want, pal. He's out with a hamstring injury. Sorry, I don't want to be saying that, but I don't know why you're calling BS. It's a fact. Craig, I hope you're well. Did you hear about Canade supporting Upamecano after he suffered racial abuse at the Bayern game? Look, I don't know of that incident, but it saddens me that any professional, any human, has to suffer racial abuse. It's fucking sickening to me that in 2024 racism still exists in the world in such a prevalent and open manner, and I want the full weight of the law, and it's disgusting. Honestly, nothing quite riles me in the same way as people being judged by the colour of their skin or their religion or who they choose to love. It's disgusting. There are many other reasons to be critical of footballers. Them being shit a lot of the time is one of them. But to judge anybody on the colour of their skin or who they love or where they're from or what God they worship is pathetic. There's no other thing to it. It's just pathetic. And I'm sad that people think it's still acceptable in any way, shape or form to be acting that way. So, well done to Ibu. My support and condolences, of course, would be with Upamecano and any other player that receives racist or vile abuse, because, you know, they're there as athletes to play football. That's it. Judge them on that. If you don't like having black, gay, or Islamic or Catholic, or that's fucking tough shit on you. Go educate yourself. But these people deserve our support because they shouldn't have to put up with this crap. One person in a crowd of how many? Doesn't matter. It's still one person too many. You know? I get what you're saying. It is the minority, but it's still too many. I didn't mean saying your line. I meant in a way we're in trouble, so many injuries. Yeah, I mean, like, it's shit, Troy. I get you, bro. It is terrible, but yeah. I think I thought I knew what you meant when you said BS, but yeah, it's unfortunate, mate. Yes. We want a manager on the up, not one on the decline. Plus, I hate Mourinho's style of playing. Short Mourinho over my dead body, said Martin Halliwell. Yeah, for me, if I had a wish list of managers now, Alonso's number one. I'm kind of flopping and changing between 2, 3, and 4, but Alonso, Amorim, Postecoglou, De Zerbi, Thomas Frank, they're probably 5, but the gap between Alonso and everybody else, for me, is huge. In fact, I'd go as far as to say if it's not Alonso, I'll be even more concerned at this point. A bit late here, but what you went through, what happened with ALISSON and what's going on with Salah. Yep, no problem, mate. Happy to go back over for you. I understand people are coming in and out at different times. So I'll start off with the ALISSON situation, if that's okay. Unfortunately, we have got confirmation that he suffered what's been described in the Echo as a major Liverpool injury setback as Alisson Becker's hamstring woes continue. So he has been ruled out of tomorrow's game. He will undergo more examinations, I think, tomorrow on the grade of how bad the hamstring is. But all we know for certain is that he won't be available for tomorrow. Regarding the Mohamed Salah situation, it's kind of twofold. But what I think you're asking me about is the title of tonight's stream. And this said in the Echo from Mark Lawrenson, Liverpool told Mohamed Salah will 100% leave after deal struck in the summer. Former Liverpool defender Mark Lawrenson believes Mohamed Salah will 100% leave Anfield this summer as he continues to be targeted by teams in the Saudi Pro League. Mark Lawrenson goes on to say, 100% Mo Salah will definitely leave this summer, no matter what happens this season. I think there was a deal last summer. He'll go and play somewhere like Saudi Arabia, and hopefully Liverpool can get a massive fee, get a couple of players off the back of it. And then there was another piece that said that with PSG having, been informed that they're losing Kylian Mbappe, that Victor Osimhen is their preferred replacement, but Mohamed Salah's name is also starting to circulate in Paris. So yes, that is that's where we're at the minute. Nothing is 100%. I agree, Kevin. I think Salah goes this summer, but I don't think it's 100%. I think absolutely there's a possibility that he could stay. But I think in when all is said and done, I feel like he will depart this summer, but I certainly don't feel it's a formality or that anything's agreed behind the scenes. But I do question how FSG have let it get to this point. I don't think that's by accident, if I'm being really honest with you. Would I take Hansi Flick? No. Because I'm petty. And that's the honest answer. I would look at any German manager as an inferior version of Jurgen Klopp. And also, I've never been wholly sold on Hansi Flick or Julian Nagelsmann or Scratch and Sniff. Certainly don't like the idea of Thomas Tuchel. But for me, we've had the best German coach. Anything after Jurgen is a downgrade. So I think Hansi Flick is a very strong contender for the Barcelona job based off many reports that he's learning Spanish and whatnot. Even, I think, if I remember yesterday, somebody said he's changed agents to Pina Xavi to try and, force through a move to Barcelona. Would I prefer for Salah to play in the Saudi or League? Um, I'm not gonna lie to you, mate. They're both as disgusting as each other to me because I think the French league and PSG and what they've been able to spend, I think, is disgusting, and I'll never understand how it has not broken FFP rules that they've been able to have Messi, Neymar, Donnarumma, Mbappe, Ramos, all at that club at once, playing in fucking France. It's always stunk to high heavens to me that they've been allowed to get away with that. And the reason I say it's disgusting, the idea of him going to play in the Saudi Pro League, is because he's too good for it at this moment in time. Not because of anything against the league or the people. I just feel like his level at the moment is still good enough that he should be at the likes of a Liverpool or a huge European club for a few more seasons. So, yeah, I feel like he's too good to go to either. Alonso could arrive at Liverpool with a few cheap but talented buys, his own selections, and I'm sure Alonso and Klopp have some conversations. I think I'm interested to see how well backed whoever the next manager is going to be. Because on one hand, you'll have probably the owner saying, well, we invested a lot of money in the squad last year. But on the other hand, you'll also have them understanding that surely a new manager is going to want to put his own little stamp on a new team. So I wonder how much of the rebuild was done last year with a view to the next 3, 4, 5 years, or if maybe they had an inkling that Jurgen Klopp wasn't going to stay till 2026. So yeah, look, we have the ability to spend money, but with our owners, you're never quite sure where you stand financially with regards to the availability of funds for the manager. Who's scratching Sniff? Yogi Love, mate. Sorry. Do you remember during one of the World Cups, I think it was, he was caught scratching his nuts or his arse and sniffing it. Yogi Love is who I was talking about, sorry. Do you think ALISSON will be back for the Cup final? I'd be guessing, Riley. I have no idea. But even if he is, he won't play because Kelleher plays the Cup final. So I don't actually think it makes any difference if he's back for the Cup final or not. I'm more concerned that he's missing the next 2 league games. Nose picking and eating it. I think he done that as well, if I'm not mistaken. Better Ireland, mate. I think he had a... Yeah, I think he likes a bit of exploration. If Alonso doesn't come, will you be worried for Liverpool? Yes, Katie, I will. Truly. Because I don't know who else can come in and immediately get the same buy-in that I think Alonso would get from the fans. He has a connection with the club. He has a stature in world football. And as much as nobody can replace Jurgen Klopp, I think Alonso is the closest we can get to a smooth transition. And after him, truly, everybody else to me is alarm bells ringing for various reasons. How did the man get caught multiple times? I don't know, Adam. I don't know, but yeah, he's yeah, he certainly has been caught out a few times with his bodily explorations. Next season, we have a new manager. It'd be difficult for us to finish top 4 next year. Trust me. I hope not, Liam. You know, because regardless of who the coach is, look at the squad we have. We shouldn't be fearing a top 4 or probably top 5, to be fair. Actually, on that, I did have some numbers that I ran through earlier on that I'm going to go through back again for people that may not have seen them. But it was actually yesterday I ran through them, so let me scroll back. Where's these numbers? Where are the numbers? Where are the bleeding numbers? Where are they? Is it this one? Nope. That was the day before. Where's these numbers? Sorry, folks. Bear with me. Just scrolling back through my notes from the last day or two, trying to find some numbers. Where the fuck is it gone? Where are these feckin' numbers gone? Ah, there they are. Nope, that's not them. I've got them. Hang on. Where are they? Scroll back, scroll back, scroll back, scroll back, scroll back, scroll back, scroll back. Where are these numbers gone? I had a set of numbers that show the likelihood of Liverpool or England getting one of those European places. Now I can't find my own notes. Sorry, I'm still looking. How have I not got these numbers? Sorry, I can't find these numbers. But basically, Opta analysed the teams that are currently in the coefficient ranking positions to get those extra Champions League spots for next season, and then they analysed how they believe it will play out and who will end up in these positions. I'm still frantically searching for these numbers because it bugs me that I don't have them to hand. Where the fuck are they? There they are. Find them. Sorry. So, currently, these are the coefficient points and rankings. Top two places in the UEFA coefficient list at present are Italy with 14,000 coefficient points and 7 out of 7 clubs still active in European competition. Second on the list is Germany with 13,642 coefficient points and 6 out of 7 clubs still active. Now bear in mind this was before obviously this week's rounds of European games. And England are third on the list currently with 13,625 coefficient points with 6 out of 8 clubs still active in Europe. But Opta analysts have gone on what they expect with their X points, and at the end of it they believe that England will top the UEFA coefficient rankings with an expected points tally of 19.4, giving them a 77% chance of being one of the 2 extra spots awarded in the Champions League. So they believe England have a 77% chance to get one of the 2. Italy have a 50.4% chance, and Germany have a 48.3% chance. So Opta believe England will end up with one of the extra Champions League spots. So I think 5th place next season as well probably gets an English club into Europe, or Champions League, and I can't see us falling outside of the top 5 even with a new manager. That's the long and short reason of why I was looking for that information, because yes, maybe you expect a bit of a drop off, but I don't think drastically enough to get us out of the top 5. Craig, would you take Kvaratskhelia as a replacement for Mo? 100% no. I don't see a level of consistency to demand the type of money Kvaratskhelia would probably command from Napoli. Not for me. No, I don't. I think he has not proven himself to be worth that much money. How long do you think Endo stays? Do you think, and who do you think would be a good replacement? Honestly, I'm really buzzing about Endo. I think he probably has 3 more seasons left, if I'm being honest with you. Because I don't know, he seems like a young 31. And as much as I was disappointed that we didn't get Caicedo, and as much as I was uncertain about Endo, I've got to say, I think Klopp and George Schmadtke got it right. And I think we have got a bargain. Not a long-term solution, but certainly gives us more than enough options with Bajcetic still to come back. Alexis McAllister there as well. I think he's been a bargain. Yeah, I think that they got it right. Certainly one of those rare times where I think I can understand why they went from somebody for 111 million all the way down to, what was he, 16, 18, something like that, for Watoro. But he looks the part. Who deserves the number 11 this summer? Well, hopefully Mo. I know we've spoken about Mo leaving, and I think it happens, but it's not my preference. But if he leaves, who gets it? I think we'll have to see who comes in all honesty, rather than just dishing it out to somebody that's already at the club. So I need to wait and see who comes in. Ella said, great to have League of Ireland back. Up the bows. Yes, good to have it back, Ella. The more football in the world, the better. And I do love that the Irish League is now a summer league. Question, would you ever see a female manager of a team in the Prem? 100%. I think I had wondered whether Emma Hayes would eventually be the first female head coach of a Premier League team, because I think I could listen to the ladies talk about football all day, to be honest with you. I think she's incredibly gifted. But I think it'll be a while yet before we see a head coach in the Premier League. But I don't think we're as far away as we were 10 years ago. I think we're moving in the right direction. Now, I've been honest about my assessment of women's football as a spectator sport in general. It's not my cup of tea. I can't hide away from that. But I do think there are incredibly gifted female coaches, and I think equality and the aim for equality in football in that regard should certainly be pushed. After Curtis Jones became good, yummy, humble pie. By the way, I'm joking, you're not alone. Oh, look, you're right. I had a lot of humble pie to eat about Curtis Jones. Didn't see it coming. I didn't, but very happy to eat the humble pie, mate. Yeah, always preferences for Liverpool players to succeed. Better Ireland said, we're miles away this side of the pond. USA will do it first. Yeah, I do think the likelihood of it happening at international level, probably, I would agree with you. I think... look, also, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not as informed on the women's game and the women's coaches as perhaps other people are, but all I can say is I've certainly been impressed by Emma Hayes and Serena Weigman when I've heard them speak about the game, and particularly with Emma Hayes, I think it's a big loss to Chelsea and a big gain for the US women's national team. Craig, just want to say in your Premier League table it says Villa are 4th, they're 5th, Spurs are 4th. Sorry, mate, we just mustn't have updated the table, to be honest with you, bro. I'll get that looked into. Appreciate little pointers. Always feel free to point that type of stuff out to me. Craig, what source is saying Salah will 100% leave? Mark Lawrenson. I know you weren't expecting me to have an answer for you, were you? You're probably thinking I'm talking at my arse again, but yes, Mark Lawrenson has said he believes 100% Mohamed Salah is leaving this summer, and he went as far as to say he believes there was an agreement maybe last summer. So I wouldn't go as far as to say 100% myself, but ultimately I don't think he's going to be wrong in the long term. I think we will see Mo leave this summer, and I think my own belief is that it's by design of FSG. That's where I am with it. I don't understand how you allow him to get to this point unless you're doing it to soften or lay the groundwork for an inevitable sale. That's my take on it. When was this? Last day or two? He was speaking with Paddy Power, and here's the exact quote from Mark Lawrenson. 100% Mo Salah will definitely leave this summer, no matter what happens this season. I think there was a deal last summer. He'll go and play somewhere like Saudi Arabia, and hopefully Liverpool get a massive fee and get a couple of players off the back of it. Salah will be a king in Saudi. He could have gone last summer and stormed into Jurgen's office and said, I want to go, but he's not done that. So again, I know it's not nice to read, hear or see, but I'm not just lying to you. These are quotes. Craig, who do you want if not Alonso? Postecoglou? I've got to be honest, I don't really have a list after Alonso. I'm all in on Alonso being the next Liverpool manager, because I feel like we're at a slight changing of the guard in world football for managers. There are very few left of the Jurgen Klopp, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola ilk, in my opinion. And it's almost like trying to guess who the next big, young, late 30s, early 40 manager that will be able to make that leap forward. You see Arteta obviously having a good run of things at Arsenal, another disciple of Guardiola. And right now you've got Amorim, you've got Xabi Alonso, De Zerbi, and some other coaches around that age bracket where we don't know yet who's going to be it. But I feel Alonso's the best placed, and if I was to roll the dice on a new younger coach, it would be Alonso. Megan Rapinoe should be our next manager. I'd probably stop watching Liverpool if I had to listen to her. In all honesty, not a fan. Amorim is good at man management and plays an intense game. I don't know much about Ruben Amorim, to be honest. Very highly thought of by the Sporting Lisbon fans, by all accounts, and certainly a coach whose name has been doing the rounds with not just the Liverpool job, but the Barcelona job. Disciple. I don't know why that's such a funny word, mate. He is a disciple of Guardiola. I don't think it's too funny a word. Zidane has turned down so many offers since he stepped down, just like Jurgen Klopp. He's waiting for destiny to call. I think destiny for him probably looks like Juventus, France, or another spell back at Real Madrid. I don't think Zidane would be a good cultural fit for us, but I could certainly see him maybe being part of a resurgence of Juventus at some point. Steve Cooper to Liverpool. I tell you what, look, probably a little bit too early, but Steve Cooper, Gary O'Neill, they're certainly coaches that I think have a big future in the game. Gary O'Neill's impressed me no end, the job he did at Bournemouth and the job he's doing at Wolves. Probably I'm not at a point yet where I'd feel comfortable with either, but Steve Cooper I rate really highly as a manager. What do you think our chances are of getting Alonso as number 1 and Amorim as number 2? 0. Yeah, 0. Because they're both first team managers on the up and up, in demand. So the idea of one of them going to become a number 2, I can't see. Would you rather Pep Lijnders or De Zerbi? Oh. De Zerbi, because I'd like a complete change. Lijnders, I feel like, would get a watered down version of what we have now, and it wouldn't feel like a clean enough break. Any bets for the weekend? No, I'm trying to... I've got my Fantasy 5, actually, which I mentioned earlier on. I'm going to mention again. That is my 5 Fantasy 5 picks there on the screen, and if you would like to have a go yourself, good news, you can win up to $5,000 every week, and it's absolutely free to play. Couldn't be any more straightforward. Pick 5 players from 5 games. Each player has an expected points total, and this week, for example, Haaland has a points total expectation of 9.5. Moise Caicedo 4.5. So players score the points based on the same scoring system as FPL, except for the bonus points. And even if you don't get all 5 correct and win the jackpot, you still have a chance to win some cool prizes from things like Premier League football shirts, Apple watches, and check out the leaderboards. Yeah, if you don't get 5 prizes, you can still win some cool opportunities, and it is 18 plus. It is something that we have to remind you to always gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org is there for all of your responsible gambling tools. But if you think you can beat my 5, best of luck to you, because I'm fancying my chances this week. So the 5 that I've gone for, as you can see on the screen, Bruno Guimaraes. His points tally is only 5.5, so I think he has the opportunity to surpass that. Ollie Watkins at 6.5 points. I think there's value there. Son Heung-min returning from the Asia Cup, dislocated finger and all. I'm expecting Son to score a goal this week. Phil Foden's been in fantastic form for City. And Ross Barkley, I've gone at 7.5 points as well. I think he could do damage against Manchester United. So they're the 5 players that I've picked this week. And if I win the $5,000, you're not getting a damn penny of it. But yeah, do check it out. All you have to do is scan the QR code on the screen. It's completely free to play, and again, you need to be 18 years or over, and it is a gambling product, so please always gamble responsibly, and begambleaware.org is there for all of your responsible gambling tools. Just want to say, I've started to watch your channel every day, a little too much at times. Well, never say that, mate. More of me is what you need in your life. No, honestly, dude, who was that said that? Dreaded Drake Best. Thank you, mate, and welcome to the family. It's great to have you in. You know, this channel's a huge part of my daily life, and I look forward to the streams and chatting with your good selves. So we're always happy to welcome new family members in, mate, and welcome to the clan. Why are you wearing City colours? Because it's the only thing that was washed, and I'm not even joking about that. I protested not to wear this hoodie today, but I can't wear black because the camera that we have, it doesn't work when I wear black. My skin goes completely pale and I look weird. So this was the only alternative I had available, and clean. That's the actual answer. And also, it's a nice colour blue, let's be honest. It kind of suits me, I think. Right, my friends, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'm going to go get some food and get ready for the early start tomorrow. But we will see you from 11:30. So do hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Please do drop a like on the stream as well. And we'll see your good selves tomorrow, hopefully at 11:30 for the watch along of the Brentford game. Live match reaction, player ratings video, social media reaction, everything else you can expect. And hopefully, if energy allows, a stream tomorrow night as well. But I appreciate you giving up some of your Friday for a chat with me. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your trust in the channel. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.